any adverse effect on our deterrent posture in other regions of the world. Well, that's a joke. I mean, right now, the Chinese Communist Party is publishing op-eds directed to the people of Taiwan saying, see, America is not a reliable friend. America is not a reliable partner. America turns and runs when the going gets tough. That should offend all Americans. This is a dangerous moment for U.S. national security.
Not to mention the frustration and anger from our European allies and our NATO partners. Congressman Mike Gallagher, thank you. We appreciate your time this morning.
Please come back.
Thank you.
I want to show you this picture now. A moment ago, one of these jets took off from the Kabul airport. Looks to me like perhaps maybe a cargo craft leaving. Where it's going, don't know. Is it American? Is it German? Is it British? Don't have information on that, but at least...
somebody's moving.
Somebody's moving, I guess. That's in summary, that's what's happening there in Kabul.
As you can see, but they were talking about that airport being in a bowl. It's surrounded by the mountains there. Also wanted to show you this. This is just remarkable today. Fox and Friends had an interview with...
No one wants to say, hey, I'm an American, I want to go in. So for my safety, for my family's safety, which is already our safety is at risk. We don't have safety anymore. All those people, they're right behind the airport. 80% of them, they have paperwork that proves they did work with Americans. They did work with Americans. And now the Taliban are right there. They're seeing them every day with their paperwork. How you know they can videotape every one of those guys? And when you leave next month, they can one by one and get them out of their homes and kill them.
He was planning to go back to Colorado. Hopefully he'll get there. Apparently, Fox and Friends says that they're going to try to talk to him again tomorrow. Really taking his life, into his own hands, given that he could be tracked down that way.
And to our viewers at home and around the world, this is just the first of potentially hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews you're going to see very soon, so long as the internet's still up and operating in Afghanistan. Right. And when we think about 20 years ago, there was a stat that came across the wire about 2 weeks ago that suggested less than 5% of the country had electricity in 2001. Think about that. And today, 20 years later, close to 100% of the country has electricity, and they have the internet, and they have an iPhone. This was not the case when the Taliban took command of Afghanistan starting in 1996. It's the world's changed for them. And so long as interviews like that and images that we will share with you throughout the day here continue to stream out of Afghanistan, it's a different picture for those leaders. And it puts an amount of pressure on them that they've really not been exposed to before.
We're going to get to hear from several people, including Congressman Dan Crenshaw and Trey Gowdy, coming up on this as well.
And on it goes now. The reverberating effects overseas. We're waiting to hear from world leaders, America's allies. Dana, you know they're not impressed. Some of them holding their tongue, I would argue. We'll tell you what they're saying in a moment coming up here.
And the Taliban on social media. Twitter apparently okay with it, how the company is justifying use of its platform.
Also this today. The death toll, what's happening there today, in a moment.
As someone who resembles someone else, I appreciate that Liberty Mutual knows everyone's unique. That's why they customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. I mean, just because you look like someone else doesn't mean you eat off the floor, or yell at the vacuum, or need flea medication. Oh, yeah. That's the spot. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. The rule in business used to be location, location, location. Now it's network, network, network. So you need a network that's built right. Verizon Business Unlimited starts with America's most reliable network. Then we have the speed of Verizon 5G. We provide security that's made for business and offer plans as low as $30 per line. More businesses choose Verizon than any other network. Built right for business. We are open and ready for you.
The Tempur-Pedic Breeze makes sleep feel cool. Because the Tempur Breeze transfers heat away from your body, so you feel cool night after night. Don't miss our best offer of the year with savings up to $700 on adjustable mattress sets.
about the red pepper chicken and pasta. The sauce tastes homemade.
New from Nutrisystem, introducing Hearty Inspirations. Premium meals with up to 30 grams of protein and 400 calories to keep you feeling satisfied while you lose weight. Order now and get the new Hydrating Fat Burner free. Lose weight and feel satisfied. Go to Nutrisystem.com/protein and get Hearty Inspirations with the Fat Burner free.
So, you're gonna buy the car?
Please, I've been here all weekend.
Never go to a dealership again. Buy your next car on vroom.com.
Well, Guy, looks like we got us a little seating situation. Be your strongest self, Guy.
JB Weld, world's strongest bond. My psoriatic arthritis pain, I had enough. It's not getting in my way.
Joint pain, swelling, tenderness, much better.
My psoriasis, clearer. Cosentix works on all of this.
4 years and counting.
So watch out.
I got this.
Watch me.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis look and feel better with Cosentix. Cosentix works fast for results that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections, some serious, and the lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to. Tell your doctor if your Crohn's disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
I just look and feel better.
I got real relief with Cosentix.
Watch me.
Feel real relief. Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentix.
Veteran homeowners, if you haven't refinanced yet, get in on record low rates now. The New Day 2 1/4 refi is the lowest rate in New Day's history. 2 1/4%, just 2.48 APR, just one call, and you can save thousands every year. There's no money out of pocket and no upfront fees. The New Day 2 1/4 refi. At these rates, you may never need to refinance again.
Call 1-877-778-0655.
Harris Faulkner puts America's news in focus.
We begin here demanding answers.
Don't miss the Faulkner Focus, weekdays at 11 on Fox News Channel.
When it comes to real estate agents, experience matters. The best agents know how to market your home for top dollar and navigate through a complex transaction. At Ideal Agent, we created our smart seller system with top-rated local agents to sell your home for as low as a 2% commission.
I was amazed in the fact that my house sold in one day. Ideal Agents saved me in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $25,000 in commissions. The process was as easy as it gets. It was turnkey. I'm a very busy guy, and they just took care of everything. They are the #1 way to sell your house.
I've used Ideal Agent 2 times. Ideal Agent guided me through the entire process, every step. You want to have the best agents, but you want to get the best deal. Using Ideal Agent with both properties, I've saved over $30,000.
Our service is free, available nationwide, and there's zero obligation. Call us today or visit idealagent.com.
More are injured and homeless. They are crying out for help, saying that emergency crews are not getting to the disaster zone fast enough. Brian Yennis is live in Port-au-Prince. He has more for us now. Hi, Brian.
Dana, good morning. Haitians are becoming more frustrated at the slow distribution of aid by the Haitian government. NGOs are working as fast as they can. Medic Corps, which is this plane behind me, is going to send in supplies at any moment to the city of Lakai. They're also going to pick up 4 or 5 critically injured patients and bring them back to Port-au-Prince. We flew into Lakai, which is the city near the epicenter of Saturday's earthquake. While large swaths of the city are still standing, many hotels and businesses and homes are not. Multiple hotels collapsed. The rubble, they are still finding bodies in the city as the death toll hits nearly 2,000. We rode on a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter yesterday and landed at a hospital. Patients are being treated outside. Hospitals are in need of more supplies, saline, antibiotics, bandages, and IV fluid. Many of the nearly 10,000 wounded from rural areas now risk deadly infection.
So in the early stages of any disaster, like an earthquake, the first injuries that you're going to see are going to be traumatic injuries like hip fractures and femur fractures, that sort of thing. A lot of those injuries sometimes come through the skin, and so when those skin wounds open, they're exposed to bacteria and infections set in usually 3 or 4 days later, and those potential infections could be lethal.
These people are in desperate need of basic supplies like food and water. Yesterday, at least 30,000 families are now displaced from this earthquake, and we visited a soccer field where many people are sleeping on the turf. People told us they haven't received any government help yet. Their makeshift shelters were destroyed by Tropical Storm Grace, which dumped 15 inches of rain on victims who were forced onto the streets. The weather is slowing down an already slow recovery. Gangs are continuing to make road travel to these areas extremely difficult. The U.S. Coast Guard helicopters are continuing to shuttle critically injured people, including children, from the epicenter back to already crowded Port-au-Prince hospitals and back here.
All right, Brian, I think that we lost your audio there, but a very compelling report, and we thank him for being down there in Haiti for us. Also, we are getting some new photos from Kabul. I'm going to warn you that these are very graphic photos, but we need to be clear-eyed about what we're dealing with. This comes from an LA Times photographer over the last few days, showing the reality on the ground. And you can see there, Bill, that these are not what the Taliban said, that they would be so inclusive and that they would be these benevolent leaders, and they clearly are not.
This is what we woke up to this morning, and frankly, when you see that first time of your day, it has an effect on you. It's just the beginning of it, and this is going to happen a lot, so be prepared. In the meantime, let's bring in, well, President Biden took 2 days, right, after the fall of Kabul to reach out to foreign leaders. He promised this new era of American leadership. Well, how's that working out? Adam O'Reilly, former U.S. Ambassador to Bahrain, also former Deputy State Department spokesperson. How you doing, sir? Good morning to you. Nice to have you on. I don't know where General Milley is. I don't know where Anthony Blinken is. I mean, it's day 4 now since our ambassador went to the embassy in Kabul and took the American flag and flew out of the country. Jake Sullivan was yesterday talking about, we were going to bring in this international coalition, so to speak, and talk to leaders around the world. But when he was asked who the president talked to, he had no answers. Just listen here.
He has not yet spoken with any other world leaders. Myself, Secretary Blinken, several other senior members of the team have been engaged on a regular basis with foreign counterparts, and we intend to do so in the coming days. Right now, the main issue is an operational issue. It's about how we coordinate with them to help them get their people out.
Okay, so found this piece in November of 2020. Jake Sullivan, right? He was interviewed by Politico. A fawning profile, I must add. He said, quote, unlike the policy of the last few years, we will be able to rally the West of the world behind us on key foreign policy and national security issues. How's that working out, sir?
Well, look, Biden, I think, yesterday spoke with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. But look, let's be clear. I mean, the world is watching, and I think they're very concerned about what they're seeing. America has sold out an ally, and our friends now worry that they're next. And by the way, I think our adversaries are licking their chops and trying to push things, push a repeat of Afghanistan in their corner of the world, whether it be China with Taiwan, Iran with the Gulf and Iraq, or elsewhere. So, I think the world wants to hear reassurance, but even if it does hear it, I mean, how credible would it be?
The other thing is that, of course, you are an ambassador, and Ambassador Ryan Crocker, who served the country for many, many years. This is what he said yesterday about what has happened. Listen here.
We were in Afghanistan for one reason for 20 years, to ensure that never again would its soil be used to attack our homeland. Well, the guys that sheltered the al-Qaeda plotters are back, and al-Qaeda is coming back with them. We've seen this movie before. It's not hypothetical. We have turned Afghanistan back to our mortal enemy.
Adam, one of the questions this morning is, why did we pull the military out before we got the American civilians out? So now the State Department and our diplomats are in this situation, and they don't have the military support to back them up, although they're going to try to send in a few more thousand troops. I mean, was this backwards?
Gosh, it's really hard to say. I mean, clearly, what's happened in Afghanistan over the past 5 days is an unmitigated disaster. Was it preventable? Perhaps. But at the end of the day, I think there are a couple of important things to bear in mind. Number one, the United States committed in 2020 to get all its troops out of Afghanistan. Number two, I think the bottom line in all this, which I haven't heard anybody talk about, is this. Biden was not willing to sacrifice one American soldier for one more American soldier for Afghanistan, right? He didn't, and the fact of the matter was, you know, the Taliban can take the airport tomorrow if they want to. The only reason they're letting us get out is, well, I don't know what the reason is, but they are letting us get out. But the fact of the matter is, Biden didn't want to sacrifice one more American for any Afghanis, and he ordered them out. And now we've got 5,000 troops back in the country. I think they're scrambling to correct a mistake of their own making.
Massive mistake, and there's more troops to come, and we all know that. Well, what's the deal we cut with the Taliban to even allow us to have access to the airport? Was this another $1 million on a wooden pallet?
No, honestly, I don't know what Zal Khalilzad, who was Trump's special envoy to Afghanistan, and Biden kept him. I don't know what he negotiated with the Taliban. But
because
you know,
you've got a scenario now where at some point the Taliban's going to say, we want the airport now.
Yeah.
And you've got the American military, and the commander-in-chief is going to have to step in again and say, okay, you can have it now. We believe we've secured a sufficient amount of Americans and Afghans who helped us, and we've secured their, that is the next breaking point in this conflict.
That's a really good point. I mean, how long are the Taliban going to let us land and ferry people out of Afghanistan? And what are we going to do when they say time's up, right? Are we going to say, no, we got to get out some more people? Or are we going to say, yeah, okay, bye-bye?
Well, we better get our people out.
They plan for all the contingencies, right? I mean, that's what they said.
Right. Well, look, war is a messy thing.
Telling me. But you can do it better than this. And this is what the American people expect after 20 years. They want it to be better. They don't want to see people suffer. And there are thousands of people who are suffering, and it wasn't necessary. With a little more, check out the piece that Condi Rice wrote today in the Washington Post. She nailed it. With a little more thought and a little more time, so much of this could have been avoided. Thank you for your time, sir. We'll be in touch.
Adam, it's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
And with the Taliban back once again. Plus, the future of women there, very much an open question. Will the Taliban protect women's rights as it promises? Why that vow is already very much in doubt.
The Taliban now promise that they're going to give all the rights for a woman. That's not absolutely right. As an Afghan woman, I don't believe this, that they are going to stone a woman in a Kabul stadium again for nothing.
Veteran homeowners. While some banks and lenders are raising their rates, New Day is holding the line with their 2 1/4 refi. That's 2.25% with an APR of 2.48. This is their lowest rate in history. The New Day 2 1/4 refi can cut thousands of dollars off your mortgage payments. There's no money out of pocket and no upfront costs.
Lock in your rate. Call 1-877-689-4592.
When did you see the sun?
When I needed to jumpstart sales. Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein.
Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and now with 2 new flavors.
Hey, Lily, I need a new wireless plan for my business, but all of my employees need something different.
Oh, we can help with that. Okay, imagine this, your mover, Rob. He's on the scene and needs a plan with a mobile hotspot. We cut to downtown. Your sales rep, Lisa, has to send some files, like ASAP.
So basically, I can pick the right plan for each employee.
Yeah, I should have just led with that.
With AT&T Business, you can pick the best plan for each employee and only pay for the features they need.
You have the best pizza in town and the worst wait times. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Dish makes TV easy. Prime Video? It's easy.
And then click Prime Video.
The app is now right there with all your live TV.
You've got this.
We've got this. They got this. Dish, streaming and live TV all in one place.
Are your HR processes weighing down your employees?
I'll do quarterly projections.
Expense report. If you're using multiple systems, re-entering data over and over, timesheet, using email and spreadsheets to manage information and approvals, then your HR systems are a drag on productive time. With Paycom, employees enter and manage their own HR data in a single, easy-to-use software. Visit paycom.com and schedule your demo today.
Do they know this door is locked?
Thanks to Realtor.com's home size filter, we can ditch this troll hole for a bigger place.
Our new home is perfect.
For having neighbors over for dinner.
Love your open floor plan.
Realtor.com, to each their home.
Ever better. It's when disruption hits your supply chain, and Ryder makes you ever delivering with a last mile solution offering front door delivery, white glove, and 3 tiers of service options and customer self-scheduling. Ever better is not a tagline, it's our standard. Discover how Ryder Last Mile can make you ever better.
I've spent centuries evolving with the world. That's the nature of being the economy, observing investors choose assets to balance risk and reward, with one element securing portfolios time after time: gold. Agile and liquid, a proven protector. An ever-evolving enabler of bold decisions, an asset more relevant than ever before. Gold, your strategic advantage.
Can the daily recommended servings of fruits and vegetables fit into just 6 capsules? Yes. We start by sourcing the best vine-ripened fruits and vegetables. We ensure they are picked at peak ripeness. All of our produce is third-party tested for pesticides, heavy metals, bad bacteria, and nutrients. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process which removes the water using pressure. This maximizes the nutritional value while preserving the color, smell, and taste of the fruit or vegetable. The freeze-dried food is then ground into a fine powder without adding any additives, fillers, or extracts. These powdered foods are then mixed in our proprietary blends and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped directly to our customers. Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FOXNEWS.
Veteran homeowners. While some banks are raising their interest rates, New Day is holding the line to keep their rates low. 2.25%, just 2.48 APR. Save thousands every year.
Call 1-877-423-1489.
So it is about 6 o'clock in Kabul, Afghanistan. Split screen here now with the airport. We saw a plane leave a few moments ago. We'll watch this camera throughout the day. U.S. military say they're working with the Taliban to evacuate Americans. Good luck with all of that. Easier said than done. And now at this hour, we are hearing the deadline at the end of this month is in question. Lucas Tomlinson is breaking that story now. Lucas from the Pentagon. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. U.S. officials privately warning that the chances of making President Biden's deadline of August 31st to evacuate all Americans is going to be, quote, very challenging. This as thousands of U.S. troops continue to pour into Kabul. There are thousands of missing Americans in Afghanistan's capital city. And this as the Taliban hold their first news conference since taking over the country. Quote, we have pardoned anyone, all those who have fought against us. We don't want to repeat any conflict anymore soon. Therefore, the Islamic Emirate does not have any kind of hostility or animosity with anybody. Animosities have come to an end, and we would like to live peacefully. Many doubt that statement, Bill. A lot of critics say the decision to close Bagram Air Base, located an hour and a half north of Kabul, the largest base the U.S. had in Afghanistan over 20 years, was a grave mistake. One former infantry officer telling me, quote, I knew that when we closed Bagram, we were going to have this problem of evacuating Americans and vulnerable Afghans. It's the only place that had a runway and was able to be secured. The evacuation now taking place at an airport in the middle of Kabul, a city of over 4 million people. The head of U.S. forces in the Middle East and Afghanistan, General McKenzie, flew to Kabul yesterday to huddle with his commanders on the ground and assess the situation for himself. He also issued the following warning to the Taliban, quote, "I cautioned them against interference in our evacuation and made it clear to them that any attack would be met with overwhelming force in the defense of our forces." There are now more than 4,000 U.S. troops on the ground in Kabul. 2,000 more are expected in the coming days, Bill.
Lucas, when you've got more news, come on back, okay? From the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson there. Thanks.
Well, there are new fears that Afghanistan will become a terrorist safe haven once again. Here's former CIA Director Leon Panetta on the American retaliation after 9/11.
But there was a second mission, which was to prevent Afghanistan from ever becoming a safe haven for terrorism. We have failed at that mission. There is no question that they will provide a safe haven for al-Qaeda and for ISIS, and potentially use Afghanistan as a base for attacking not just the United States, but other countries as well.
Thomas Jocelyn is a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Fox News contributor Steve Hayes, editor of The Dispatch, and Jessica Donati, she's author and journalist. We're grateful to have all of you here. We want to get 2 questions to you each, so we're going to try to do this as quickly as possible. Steve, if I could start with you. At this point, what you're looking at for the Biden administration is a complete undermining of 2 pillars of its foreign policy. One being that America is back, because if you look at what our allies are saying right now, but what our adversaries are thinking, but 2, the emphasis on democracy. What do you think this means for the Biden administration?
Yeah, it's an unmitigated disaster. I mean, the things that you're hearing from the president himself and from people speaking on his behalf are so at odds with reality. It would be laughable if it weren't so tragic. I think one of the most important things to remember here is, picking up on what Leon Panetta said, it's not just that al-Qaeda might have a safe haven if the Taliban assume full control of Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda has been working with the Taliban. Al-Qaeda is inextricably linked to the Taliban. They share leadership. They share operations. Some of the Taliban prisoners that were released as a result of the February 2020 deal that the U.S. struck with the Taliban were, in fact, Al-Qaeda. So I think it's a mistake to say we could be going back to a point where Al-Qaeda can reestablish a safe haven. Al-Qaeda has been operating in Afghanistan for a long time. And I think the fact that the Biden administration has so cavalierly sort of dismiss that and are now making threats against the Taliban if they provide a safe haven for al-Qaeda suggests that they don't understand what's going on the ground at all.
Jessica, we've seen some pretty horrific images already today of women and kids in the street bleeding. Obviously, victims of some level of violence leveled by the Taliban. This could be just the beginning of it. Who knows what's happening in the countryside? I mean, how are we now to interpret the future for women in Afghanistan after this departure?
Well, I think the future is extremely dire. What we saw at the press conference in Kabul was the Taliban going on a charm offensive because the world is watching right now. And so they were saying all of the right things, we'll let women work, we'll let women study. But everything that we're hearing from the ground contradicts that. We're hearing reports of women getting beaten for trying to access the airport, women beaten for filming. We're hearing a lot of abuses, girls being turned away from school. And so while it's really difficult to make sense of all of these early reports, I think the Taliban's words yesterday have so far not been matched up with reality.
Tom, you study the al-Qaeda, the movements, the terrorist movements all across the country, all across the world. What do you think is the next phase here for the Taliban?
Well, I think the bottom line is, just as Steve said, I think people have really misunderstood the Taliban-al-Qaeda relationship for 20 years now. In fact, I think one of the great debacles in all of this, one of the great errors, is that the U.S. hasn't even understood who it was really fighting. I help run a website called Long War Journal. We've produced an encyclopedia of facts on the al-Qaeda-Taliban relationship going back many, many years now. And this is a victory not just for the Taliban, this is a victory for al-Qaeda. You know, al-Qaeda is going nuts right now on social media, launching new sites as we speak, declaring victory, and releasing footage of their fighting in the Taliban takeover. We have many pieces of evidence from al-Qaeda of their operations in Afghanistan over the last year. In fact, they put out a newsletter every week called Thabat, which apparently we were the only ones that were reading, because they were actually talking about their march to take Kabul over. So the bottom line here is that the U.S. never really understood who was fighting. We heard President Biden this week say that al-Qaeda was severely degraded in Afghanistan. You can go back through the sordid history of all this and find similar phrases used by American officials for more than a decade. They said over and over again that al-Qaeda was degraded, decimated, defeated, on the path to defeat, a former of its shadow itself. They said this so often that they never actually got around to defeating al-Qaeda. So the bottom line here is that this is a stunning example of American incompetence, and it is absolutely a victory for al-Qaeda.
Yeah, Tom, if you were able to, if we could rewind the decision of time over the past week or so. If you were to fast forward 3 months from now, Tom, would it have been any different if the withdrawal and the security of those that really belong to us had been taken care of first? Would it be different, or would there still be this celebration that you described?
Well, the only thing that would have been different at this point would have been the evacuation could have been done differently. I mean, people like us were saying that what the U.S. should have done was hold on to Bagram until the very last second. And the last American turns out the lights in Bagram, not in Kabul. You don't try and evacuate thousands and thousands of Americans and potentially Afghans through a civilian city of 4.5 million people, plus God knows how many refugees. I mean, the incompetence here by the U.S. military leadership and the Biden administration when it comes to just evacuating Afghanistan is, unfortunately, isn't over. We're still watching it. But, you know, to my mind, it's consistent with the incompetence we've witnessed for years. This is incompetence that goes across administrations in losing a war to an enemy they never understood.
Steve, what about our allies and their thoughts this morning?
Yeah, I mean, you're hearing from our allies, right? They're expressing profound disappointment in what we're seeing unfold in Afghanistan. I think it's hard for some of our allies to fathom that we could be witnessing incompetence at this level. I mean, even people who came in and didn't have much faith in maybe the Biden administration are surprised and shocked at just how incompetent this has been. I mean, it's inconceivable that we would have seen the United States scrambling, trying to cut sort of side deals with the Taliban just so that we can get Americans out. It's inconceivable that you would have had a spokesman for the President of the United States saying, in effect, yeah, we don't know if we'll be able to get all the Americans out. We'll try. They look at that. I think our allies look at that and say, this is not a reliable ally. This is not somebody that we want to be lined up with on the battlefield, maybe even in diplomatic situations.
Yeah, you know, Jessica, to Steve's point on that, I think the international leadership is holding their tongues right now. I mean, they could be a lot more blistering than they have been.
I think right now they're all focusing on trying to get their people out, but privately, the diplomats that I talked to are profoundly disappointed by the way it's played out. The Biden administration promised that America was back, that they would consult, but they didn't make any of the decisions to withdraw in coordination with their allies. Some of their closest partners had no idea they were going to pull out until basically the night before.
Right.
And I think that just contributes to the idea of the U.S. being an untrustworthy partner.
Wow.
Tom, Steve, and Jessica, we thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
you. In a moment here, the White House relying on Taliban promises to facilitate the withdrawal, what it means now for the thousands of Afghans who were promised.
Both my parents and my father-in-law side, they've worked with Americans for 9 years, served as security supervisors, guards, and all that stuff. And they don't deserve this to stay in Afghanistan and deal with Taliban.
This program is brought to you by Dell Technologies, your trusted small business advisors.
To run a growing business is to be on a journey. And along the ride, you'll find many challenges. Your Dell Technologies advisor is here to help, so you can stop at nothing for your customers.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Only pay for what you need. With customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual. Nothing rhymes with Liberty Mutual.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
We did it again. Verizon has been named America's most reliable network by Root Metrics. And our customers rated us #1 for network quality in America, according to J.D. Power. #1 in reliability 16 times in a row. Most awarded for network quality 27 times in a row. Proving once again that nobody builds networks like Verizon. That's why we're building 5G right. That's why there's only one best network.
Take your weight loss to a whole new level and double your protein for free with Nutrisystem's Premier Upgrade event. For a limited time, get your first month of Hearty Inspirations, our new premium meals, free, including new skillet dinners that go from pan to plate in minutes. Hearty meals with double the protein. No prep, no mess, no stress. Losing weight never tasted this good. Order right now and get your first month of new premium meals free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
I'm Sue and I have type 1 diabetes. I depend on Medicare to get my medicines. It's not always easy, but I make it work. Now some in Congress want to make things even harder. They want to repeal a protection in Medicare that protects access to my medicines. They call it negotiation, but it really means the government decides what medicines I can get. That would make it harder for people on Medicare to get the medicines we need. Medicare means access. Please don't take that away.
Paid for by Pharma.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money for your family? New Day USA can help. We earned a lot of VA benefits with our service, but the VA home loan benefit is a big one. By refinancing up to 100% of your home's value, you could take out $50,000 or more. You could use that money to pay credit card debt and other expenses, plan for retirement, and get back on your feet financially. Call New Day USA right now.
Call 1-833-817-3910.
Here's important information for anyone with an annuity or structured settlement. It's your right to sell all or part of your annuity payments for the cash you need now. Whether you need to make an important purchase, pay off debt, or
probably never happened if we would have just gone with them first.
They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them.
We certainly recommend Ideal Agent now to all of our family, all of our friends. It's just a great experience.
We are not a discount brokerage. These are top local agents that'll get you the best results.
Tucker Carlson Originals, exclusively on Fox Nation. Now, Tucker uncovers the mystery of UFOs.
They've been well documented by our government for many years.
This is now real science.
The evidence 100% contradicts what the U.S. government and the military wants us to believe.
Will government officials finally tell us what they know?
New episode of Tucker Carlson Originals, streaming August 19th. Go to Fox Nation now to get a sneak peek. Part of Fox Files, all this month on Fox Nation.
We are struggling with. We need an immediate help. Mr. Biden, please help all these Afghans who did support you, who helped you. These people deserve this, that I need to do this for them as a human.
So that man's name is Haroon. He lives in Colorado. He had gone back to Afghanistan to visit his father. He is now trapped. He joined Fox and Friends a bit earlier today. So as the U.S. tries to evacuate more out of Afghanistan, thousands of our allies have been left behind enemy lines. Their lives are at risk now. James Mirvaldes fought in Afghanistan, leads an organization that helps Afghan interpreters relocate to the U.S. James, good morning to you. Wow, a time of tension, I'm certain. I don't know if you're sleeping or not. What can you tell us about what you're hearing from over there?
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Dana. It's terrible. I'm very proud of the No One Left Behind team. We've been up for about 4 days. We are not sleeping. We've answered thousands of emails from interpreters, just like what you just heard, your viewers just heard, and U.S. veterans who are incredibly anxious and worried about the inability to do anything. They feel helpless. There's a very real mental health crisis coming to the veteran community, and I just encourage anybody who knows anyone who worked or served in Afghanistan just to reach out. Just check on your battle buddies.
James, one of the reasons is, that they are upset is because many of them credit these interpreters as saving their lives over and over again. And these interpreters were promised that they would be taken care of. What happened in the Biden administration for all of this to break down and these people not to get out? We've been talking about this for months. And they obviously, if we're talking about it, it had to be on their to-do list.
Yes, Dana. Actually, we've been talking about this for years, going all the way back to 2009 when the Afghan Allies Protection Act was signed. It was one of President Obama's first pieces of legislation. Dana, just for your viewers, just putting it into perspective, because I was watching you yesterday with Bill, and Bill, you were talking about stories. And one of the stories that's so important to this and understanding the full arc is a quote from 2005 from Deborah Burlingame, whose brother Chick was the pilot of American Airlines Flight 77, which was hijacked and flown into the Pentagon. And the quote is, 9/11 is a love story of human decency triumphing over human depravity. We know how depraved the Taliban has been. That is not a secret. The question now is how decent we can do, what we can be as a country. At this moment in time, I'm not confident.
Wow.
Then what are you hearing from the administration or anybody about the ability to get some of these interpreters out? Or are you hearing from them? We heard from Haroon calls in, risks his life to reveal where he is.
Would not give his address.
Right. We're getting bits and pieces. We're not getting transparency. We've been asking multiple times. We've offered to help with resources and subject matter experts. We've been reaching out for, like I said, years, and we're starting to get some through the Pentagon. I appreciate the Pentagon's briefings about the security situation in Kabul. We were flying families out. We were paying commercial airfare because we had SIV families that had SIVs in hand, but who had not heard from the embassy. And they kept on waiting, saying, when are we going to be evacuated? What flight are we on? They got no response. So it takes about $10,000 to fly a full family out. I respectfully disagree with the president's two statements that SIV holders wanted to stay in Afghanistan. That's not the reality we were seeing.
They've said that a couple times, James.
It's not true.
I respectfully disagree with the president. Now, on that note, a very patriotic private donor named Greg Perlman stepped in with $500,000 and said, get these people out. So we had 5 families successfully fly out on commercial flights. That's about 30 people. We had another 50 supposed to fly out this week, but everything stopped at the airport. So as soon as civilian air flights resume, we can continue in that process. We will do what we can to augment the State Department and the military. We're done asking for permission. We're just going to do it.
You know that the Taliban is not going to cooperate with you. But when it comes to Americans, that might be one thing. But Afghans, it's not going to happen. This is really going to be difficult, James. You've got your work cut out for you.
You work tirelessly.
You're doing God's work for them. I mean, bravo. Stay at it, okay? And we'll stay in touch with you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Veteran homeowners, if you're ever going to use your VA home loan benefit to get cash, now is the time. Because interest rates are near record lows and home values are at record highs. The New Day 100 VA cash out loan lets you borrow 100% of your home's value. And you could take out $50,000 or more. Pay down high rate credit cards, improve your home, or just give your family the security of having cash in the bank.
Call 1-877-912-2778.
Dry eye symptoms driving you crazy? inflammation might be to blame.
Time for Agent Burn.
Over-the-counter eye drops typically work by lubricating your eyes and may provide temporary relief.
Those will probably pass by me.
Xiidra works differently, targeting inflammation that can cause dry eye disease.
Xiidra? No!
It can provide lasting relief. Xiidra is the only FDA-approved non-steroid treatment specifically for the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. 1 drop in each eye twice a day. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort or blurred vision when applied to the eye, and unusual taste sensation. Don't touch container tip to your eye or any surface. After using Xiidra, wait 15 minutes before reinserting contacts. Talk to an eye doctor about Xiidra.
I'd prefer you didn't.
Xiidra. Not today, dry eye.
The airport can be a real challenge for new homeowners who have become their parents. Okay, everybody, let's do a ticket check. Paper tickets. We're off to a horrible start, but we can overcome it. We're not going to point out our houses, landmarks, or major highways during takeoff.
Don't buy anything. I packed so many delicious snacks. They're...
Nope.
Did you say ballpark when Group 2 is going to get boarded?
2 hours and 58 minutes.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto when you bundle with us.
Someone should have left home earlier.
Was that your great-grandmother keeping the family together?
Was that your grandfather paving the way for change?
Did they brave Mother Nature and walk away stronger?
Did they face the unknown with resolve and triumph?
There's strength in every family story.
Learn more about yours at Ancestry.
With less moderate to severe eczema, why hide your skin? If you can help heal your skin from within. With Dupixent, adults saw long-lasting, clearer skin and significantly less itch. Don't use if you're allergic to Dupixent. Serious allergic reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis, which is severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes or a parasitic infection. If you take asthma medicines, don't change or stop them without talking to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about Dupixent.
It's well established, and we all know that what we eat affects every aspect of our health, including our immune system, our circulatory system. It doesn't matter what. We are awesome chemical laboratories. That's why I scientifically formulated Balance of Nature. There's hundreds of thousands of chemicals in every fruit and vegetable that are naturally there. And many of those chemicals attribute to the plant's immune system. And what's awesome about it, and light. So our processes are done under vacuum, in dark, and cold. And by doing that, we preserve that nutrition of that fresh, whole fruit and vegetable nutrition when you take Balance of Nature. It's all there, just as Mother Nature intended.
Start your journey with the best fruit and vegetable product on the market by going to balanceofnature.com and use discount code FOXNEWS.
The nightmare again, Maxine. The world was out of Wonka bars.
Relax. You just need digital workflows. They help keep everyone supplied and happy proactively. Let's workflow it. Then you can stop having those nightmares.
No. I would miss them too much.
Whatever your business is facing, let's workflow it. Service now.
Oh, look at that one.
Look at those two. When is the last time they were this happy?
I know, right? This place is pretty special.
It really is.
Veteran homeowners, the New Day 2 1/4 refi is the lowest rate in their history. 2 1/4%, just 2.48 APR. New Day's holding the line on rates so veterans can save thousands.
Call 1-877-521-8963.
That's the Taliban banner. We'll probably see a lot more of that to come in the days ahead. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino.
And I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning. In a lot of this video, you can see the Afghan flag. Its colors, red, green, and black, replaced by the new flag by the Taliban, which is white with some black Arabic lettering behind it. So the fear is spreading across Afghanistan. There it is, center of your screen there, as it tightens its grip. That new video we're showing shows the hardline militants detaining Afghan citizens in the streets of Kabul. A warning before we show you the next image. This is going to be disturbing to many of us. Shows a woman and a child savagely beaten by Taliban thugs outside the airport in Kabul. Congressman Mike Gallagher last hour urging a speedy and safe evacuation, if only. Watch.
We do not leave our people behind. We have to get our people out, as well as our Afghan allies out of that country. We have approximately 15,000 that right now are trapped behind enemy lines, dangerously close to becoming prisoners of war. The fact that we have now painted ourselves into this corner where we're dependent on the goodwill and the largesse of the Taliban is embarrassing for the United States.
Fox team coverage continues now with Rich Edson at the State Department. Trey Gowdy with reaction, but let's begin with Jackie Heinrich. She is at the White House on how the Biden administration is handling this latest crisis and the broader fallout around the world. I know the president returned to the White House last night, Jackie.
That's right, Dana. The president came back from Camp David last night, but he is still not taking questions on this since the Taliban took Afghanistan. He'll deliver remarks on COVID later today and hopefully give reporters some opportunity for questions, because we're getting a lot of conflicting information about just how many Americans are stuck behind enemy lines and what the U.S. is prepared to do to get them home, and what, if anything, we're going to do to get out some of those Afghan refugees who are our allies. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told me that there are 11,000 Americans who've self-identified throughout Afghanistan needing to come home, but may more come forward asking for assistance. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said that morning that there are 5,000 to 10,000 Americans around Kabul alone, and senators yesterday were told by the White House that there are 15,000 Americans out there. The U.S. has assurances from the Taliban that Americans will have safe passage, but the military is not helping them get to the only site under U.S. control. And now, despite being in the awkward position of having to trust the Taliban that they will make good on their promises that Americans have safe passage, Taliban now armed, by the way, with an unknown number of American military weapons taken from the Afghan government, including Black Hawk helicopters. Biden's team says they're making clear to the Taliban that the full power of the U.S. military is the consequence if they don't uphold their promise.
Like I've said all along, this is not about trust. This is about verify. And we'll see what the Taliban end up doing in the days and weeks ahead.
Now, despite that threat, we don't know what the U.S. is prepared to do to get all the Americans home if this cannot be completed by August 31st. The administration continues to say that they believe that they will, work toward that deadline, but we don't know what we're prepared to do to get people back if that deadline comes and goes, and also what, if anything, we'll do to get the Afghan refugees past those checkpoints, because what we're hearing is that nobody has been able to get past them, and the Taliban has basically gone out and only allowed Americans through. Dana.
All right. Thank you, Jackie, at the White House.
So the frantic operation well underway. First, you got to get to the airport, and that is not easy. An Afghan-American from Colorado still stuck there in Kabul, telling Fox and Friends what he's up against.
I went to see if I can get in because I got an email from the embassy that says safely get yourself to the airport so we can get you in. But when I got there, there's thousands of people on the street and crazily walking around. There are Taliban on the roads. You can see all over there too. They broke my phone. I was making a video and they took it and just hit it on the ground and broke it. So I was pissed too. I was like, hey, I'm a citizen of America. I'm just trying to get in here.
Well, Rich Edson from the State Department now. We have not heard from Anthony Blinken in several days, have not heard from General Milley, Joint Chiefs Chair for the Pentagon either. Rich, good morning to you at the State Department.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. And that sums it up. The State Department says it is notifying Americans in groups to go to the airport for their flights out of Kabul, though American citizens are on their own when it comes to actually getting to the airport. Contacts in Kabul are telling us that they've had to pass through Taliban checkpoints, and the Taliban are beating people. Just heard from an Afghan who says he was recording video by the airport this morning, just like the story you just heard there. He says the Taliban came up to him, took his phone. and then beat him badly. The U.S. is trying to evacuate thousands of Americans, diplomats, and Afghans who've worked with the U.S. government over the past 2 decades. It is unclear how many will actually get out of the country, though the administration maintains it was ready for this.
Absolutely, preparations were made. We did contingency planning, but none of us can appreciate what happens when the end of a civil war takes place and the victors enter the city. But we were prepared for this, and we are working around the clock to ensure that people are given support to get out of the country.
Now, the State Department says it plans to double the number of consular offices in Kabul by Friday. A White House official says yesterday the U.S. evacuated about 1,100 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their families on 13 flights. Sources in the U.S. involved in these evacuations and contacts in Kabul say the situation there is tenuous, with thousands crowding, trying to get to the airport. And that's just Kabul. There are those looking to leave who are scattered across the country and are nowhere near these evacuation flights. It's also unclear how long the Taliban is going to allow people to even get to the airport in all of this, as there are some thousands, if not tens of thousands, who are trying to get out of the country.
Is there any word on when the Secretary of State is going to take questions or appear publicly, Rich?
No word. We get a daily briefing here, and that's it.
Wow, it is remarkable stuff. I mean, these are major members of the cabinet on the most significant international story that we have covered in years. And they're AWOL. I mean, it's really extraordinary. Rich, thank you. If it changes there, let us know. We'll bring you back, okay? Thank you. Dana.
Trey Gowdy is host of Sunday Night in America here on Fox. And Trey, you often help all of us think things through and think about what is right. I want you just to listen to one more clip from Haroon, who called into Fox and Friends this morning. Listen to his desperation here.
I'm talking about all those people. They're right behind the airport. 80% of them, they have paperwork that proves they did work with Americans. They did work with Americans. And now the Taliban are right there. They're seeing them every day with their paperwork. How you know they can videotape every one of those guys? And when you leave next month, they can one by one and get them out of their homes and kill them.
Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today, commend the whole thing to everyone. She said, if we do nothing else, we must urgently provide refuge for the Afghans who believed in us. We must demonstrate that we still believe in them. It didn't have to be this way. I was going to call you Congressman. I guess I can still call you Trey. It didn't have to be this way.
It did not, Dana. And, just stop and think. The world's greatest superpower spent 20 years. How much life and limb was lost? $1 trillion. And you've got people falling from airplanes because that's how badly they want to get out of that country. I mean, your chances of hanging onto the wheel of an airplane and surviving are about zero, but you're still willing to do it to try to get out of that country. And then you got streets devoid of women and girls because they can't go out. And the world's greatest, yes, I want Americans out, but I would think the world's greatest superpower could also protect women and girls in Afghanistan. And when I see images of them being killed outside the airport, everybody needs to give an explanation as to how this happened.
But Trey, they plan for all contingencies. That's what they say. Repeatedly.
I heard Jake Sullivan say that. I also heard him say that in Libya. I'm stunned, Bill. We were told that Biden was the most experienced person to be president when it comes to foreign policy, that he's assembling this dream team, and they're caught not just flat-footed. They don't have a plan for now. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, look, we didn't see that coming, but we got no plan, and he's defiant. And the last I heard from the president, he was 100% behind a 100% wrong decision.
Have you seen any of the reports, Trey? I know it was in the New York Times, and you could imagine that this was coming. Both sources in the intelligence community and the defense community all saying, we told him. We gave the information to the president, but this was the decision that he made.
You know, Dana, when the New York Times is criticizing a Democrat administration, it must be really, really bad. So I think we're in this mode of people trying to cover their own careers. So you're going to see leaks from the military and the intelligence community and probably the diplomatic corps that we warned Biden not to do it. Dana, I am welcoming John Ratcliffe to my home beginning tomorrow for a long weekend. I look forward to talking to him to the extent he can tell me about what the intelligence was warning. I mean, cutting a deal with the Taliban, and look, just to prove how bipartisan I am, I never would have invited them to the White House. I don't trust them, but for our plan to be contingent upon the Taliban doing the right thing, the group that stones women who have been raped, that's who we are depending on to do the right thing. That's not much of a plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfathomable. We have reached out to countless Democrats in Congress. Not a one has said yes to our invitation. Not one. And Trey, you could argue for the past 7 months that the media in America has been doing the work of this administration, right? And it was just perhaps Monday morning when that all changed. Do you agree with those observations?
Yeah. I think you have a very compelling case that the media in this country, 90% of it is doing the heavy lifting. But look, I was in the House. I wasn't rushing towards the television camera when there was bad news on our side. I mean, what would they tell you if they were on? I mean, they're going to claim to have hearings and hope that we forget. But the images of people falling from airplanes, the images of women and girls and children being beaten to death by a group that we were negotiating with, how would you explain it?
How long will it take for America to regain the respect of the world, our allies, and the respect that we need from our adversaries as well?
You know, there's an old quote, Dana, from a German philosopher. I'm not mad that you lied to me. I'm mad that I can't believe anything else you ever tell me. And I think that trust, once lost, trust is so hard to regain. I mean, that's true in relationships that don't involve countries. So I don't, Biden told us America is back. Remember, he went on his tour and apologized for the last 4 years. America is back. And the reality is the Taliban is back. I don't know that America's back, but I guarantee you the Taliban is back.
Trey, thank you. It's heavy stuff, It's, when you think about a story that we've been watching for 20 years, waiting to see how it ends. This was not among the options. It was not among the choices, and we're watching this play out together. Trey, thank you. Just come on back to us today. Now, you mentioned the Condoleezza Rice thing.
Thanks, Trey.
And Washington Post a bit earlier today. I think it's profound. You read
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. WAPO. If we do nothing else, it's okay. We must demonstrate we still believe in them. Just a few quotes here, right? I mean, these are the ones we highlighted. No, they didn't choose the Taliban, she writes. They fought and died alongside us, helping us degrade al-Qaeda. No, they didn't choose the Taliban. They seized the chance to create a modern society where girls could attend school, women could enter professions, and human rights could be respected. No, they didn't choose the Taliban. They built a fledgling democracy with elected leaders who often fail but did not brutalize their people as so many regimes in the region do. That's in direct response to what these administrators, Jake Sullivan and the president said about how the Afghans did not fight and they did not... Part of this blaming the Afghan government. One last thing here. More time would have served our strategic interests, she writes. Now we have to live with the consequences of our haste. Condoleezza Rice, Washington Post.
And Bill, this just in, General Mark Milley, the Secretary of Defense, he will brief at 3 p.m.
Okay,
today.
All right, 3 o'clock. We'll be watching for that, right, from the Pentagon. Meanwhile, the administration sending mixed messages on the Taliban's role in getting people to safety. Has the president's credibility taken a permanent hit after this? We'll talk to Brett Baer about that coming up shortly here, Dana.
Plus, Twitter is letting the Taliban post updates on its platform. Will criticism finally force Congress to act?
When you allow terrorists to continue on Twitter and you allow them to be the arbiter of what is good and bad, it's a time for Twitter to go and actually be regulated.
Veteran homeowners. While some banks and lenders are raising their rates, New Day is holding the line with their 2.25 refi. That's 2.25% with an APR of 2.48. This is their lowest rate in history. The New Day 2 1/4 refi can cut thousands of dollars off your mortgage payments. There's no money out of pocket and no upfront costs.
Lock in your rate. Call 1-877-689-4592.
Verizon launched the first 5G network, and now we want to be the first to give everyone the joy of 5G by giving every customer a new 5G phone. Old customers, new customers, families, businesses, every customer. From these bakers to these bakers. Hello. New 5G phones when you trade in your old ones. Cracked, busted, sticky buttons and all, thank you. Upgrade your phone, upgrade your network.
Doug.
Oh, are you using Liberty Mutual's coverage customizer tool? Sorry? Well, since you asked, it finds discounts and policy recommendations, so you only pay for what you need. Limo, you're an animal! Who's got the bird legs now?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
My name is Randall. As I was getting older, I felt like I wasn't getting some of the nutritions that I should just from my diet. I was having some health issues, and the dermatologist had recommended a medicine that was about $4,000 a month. He said that once I started the medicine, I would not be able to get off from it, even if the condition improved. I obviously couldn't afford it, but as I read and listened to different things, Balance of Nature was the best out there to help me with my health and my immune system. Taking Balance of Nature helped my body and has actually saved me a lot of money. As a matter of fact, I haven't had a sick day, period, from when I started taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey.